Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the last session for today's series with the Master's Spotlight. It's an exciting session. It's the student panel. So we're going to have the opportunity to get to know a little bit more about a couple of graduate students. And just kind of start off, my name's Josh, and I'm representing GMAT Club for today, and I've been the one who's hosted all of the sessions thus far. And so we'll start off with introductions. Ladies, I'll let you introduce yourselves. Give a little bit about, who you are, what program you're doing. Take a minute or two to highlight that, and then after you do your introductions, we'll go right into some questions. And anybody can go first, sorry.
So hello everyone, I'm Brinda and I'm from India, and I'm currently pursuing my master's degree in strategy and international management at the University of St. Gallen in Switzerland. And I will be representing the SIM, as we call it here, at today's panel.
Hi everybody, I'm Arushi from India as well, and I'm pursuing my master's in statistics in the specialization of data science, and I'm representing Imperial College London today.
Awesome, thank you both so much. So it's been an interesting year. I'm not sure about you ladies, but COVID has really changed things up in the world of higher education, and it's really disrupted the process and the flow of a lot of programs, and a lot of schools have had to transition their on-campus programs to hybrid or online programs, and it's just been a lot. And so could you tell us a little bit about your experience this year? And again, either one of you can jump in first, just kind of, tell us how your programs handled the COVID pandemic.
Do you want to go first, Arushi, or should I start?
Sure, I can go first, not an issue. So at Imperial, we first started with a multi-mode kind of delivery for the classes. We had classes on campus once a week. And apart from that, most of it was online. We had recorded lectures and then we had to do a lot of tutorial sheets on our own, and we could just discuss them in the class. But after that new variant came up in the UK, everything went bad, and everybody went into a lockdown again, and everything went online. And now again, it was supposed to open up again on the 8th of March, but it's again not opening for us. Because you do realize that you can actually get a master's degree sitting away from university at a home and just working on your laptop in a room. So since it's not it's not an easy situation for them as well, I believe, and obviously, but this is what it has to be. And I think I'll be completing my master's degree online. So that's how it has been for me. I don't know about Vrinda, how much of her course was on campus.
Yeah, so the last year started for me on campus, but then of course it changed everything to online medium. But I guess in terms of experience, more than having classes online, if you look at the broader picture, I think my course has been, in terms of flexibility, very, very good for me. So if the world changed and I had to change my plans as well, the course was adaptive and flexible to do so. As a very small example, I was supposed to go on an exchange semester in February, this month basically, but that shifted online and I did not want to do it online. So, I had the chance of applying again and delaying it and extending my course, because you have up to 8 semesters to complete all your credits. So I think in terms of flexibility, it was kind of helpful in a situation like this when everything was completely new and changing, and you don't know what to expect in the next month even. So I guess that aspect of the course was really helpful for me.
Yeah, I know. For me personally, I decided to start my master's program right about the time that COVID was, starting to come into play throughout the world. And initially, I had thought I was going to pursue a degree on campus somewhere, but I actually opted for an online program at Duke because I have that background in biology, and I could see how things were turning out, and so it colleges nowadays, it seems, are very adaptive and resourceful in terms of transitioning and answering the call when needed when tragedy occurs. And so it's been really great to see how every program has transitioned and tried to make it as smooth as possible for current and incoming students. And so, let's see what we got here. So, whenever you were applying to programs, some people find that one program and they're like, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. For a lot of people, they find that area they want to be in, and then they have a broad spectrum of universities and programs that they're applying to. So what was some of the differentiating factors about your master's program that pulled you into it? And again, either one of you, feel free to just jump right on in, and we'll go from there.
So personally, for me, I think there are certain goals or aspirations in life that I want to fulfill as a part of my career. First of all, being in a people's occupation, being in an international environment always, and striving to change and develop all the time. Second of all, being in a position to be able to enforce positive change. And I think when I was looking for a master's program, as you said, I knew that I wanted something in business management, particularly more strategy oriented. So, strategy and international management was my choice because of my interest in strategy, for sure. But the things that stood out for me the most were the emphasis on the community, on the people, and whenever I talked to alumni of the program, they had the first thing that they said to me was that you will build a family and you will build a community because the class size is so small. We had 46 students in our cohort. The class size is so small. You know your fellow students, even the staff members of the program, and it is like a community. And over the years also, because they've been so closely knit and they stay that way, the network that you build is so close and they're always ready to help you, is what I've experienced in these past 2 years. No matter who I messaged, when I messaged, they were always ready to help me, no matter what. So that was, I mean, I came with that mindset, but that was completely true what I expected, and it was greater than my expectations for sure. And the second aspect was being in a position to make a change, and the sim offers you basically an opportunity where you get to hands-on work on a social project with a group of students. And you can go to, for example, I went to Kenya, Africa, and we built a chicken farm for an orphanage. So experiences like these is, I don't know, they make the program stand apart, because yes, of course, you will have some social initiatives in most of the programs, but this was, I mean, being a part of the curriculum, making it compulsory and laying so much emphasis on it is, I think, really important because of the world that we are existing in today, and making the leaders of tomorrow realize that they have to be kind of aware that they have to be change makers, not just leaders.
Arushi, go ahead. Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, choosing the right course at the right university was obviously one of the most, I think, difficult things that I've ever done, because there's so much to look at, so much to choose from. I always knew that I wanted to do something which, combined something like coding and mathematics. So I knew I had to do statistics, but where and what specialization in? And data science is like selling like hotcakes at the moment. It's the best thing to do, and being passionate about it is obviously great. I think when you are pursuing anything, any education abroad, you do look at the brand name. So definitely it matters. No matter what anybody says, it matters. Apart from that, I think when I was picking up my course, the one at Imperial, it just combined the theoretical aspect of the subject and the professional aspect as well. I was not so sure if I would want to go into PhD or like get a job right after my masters. So I knew that the course at Imperial would like just prepare me for both. The kind of reports that we submit, the kind of assessments that we have. Even though it's like maths that you do and coding that you do, you are just ready for any kind of a professional environment. We have 1 day courseworks, and that just grills you so much and prepares you for everything possible. And yeah, I mean that's great. I think that's the best thing about the course at Imperial. And from any and apart from that, the other places that I applied to, one of the best things about studying in the UK is that you get your master's degree in 1 year. So, and if you're ready for anything after that, I think it's a must have experience.
Absolutely. Now, whenever you were going into your programs and even throughout, I mean, I know a lot of people who are considering grad school have this preconceived notion that it's going to be a cutthroat environment, that it's going to be every man and woman for himself, and you can expect to be competing against every other person that is in that classroom. I know for me personally, and in my program and in my cohort, that's the furthest thing from the truth. Like Brenda had mentioned, I mean, it really is kind of your own community. Everybody's going through it together. Everybody wants to see everybody succeed. And so how is the environment in your program? Do you see that camaraderie and that relationship building, or do you see the competitiveness from each individual, and how does that impact your time in the program?
I think for me, it's not really that people aren't friendly, but in every cohort there are some students who just want to race through it, and some people who actually want to enjoy the course. Currently, with the situation that we are not seeing each other a lot because we are not meeting on campus, definitely it's affected. So I'm an introvert. I usually don't reach out to people, but with this current situation, when you're facing some problem on your assessment, you have to message somebody. There's nothing you can do about it. And my the department, they are doing everything they can to make people socialize as much. They host game nights or something online on Teams, and they try that people should connect and start talking and everything. So I think with COVID it's a bit different, but I would definitely not say that it's a cutthroat kind of an environment. People definitely are helpful, and they talk to each other, and we discuss assessments when we can. So I think it's good.
Well, for me, as I said, it's been like a community, and I meant it when I said it, because I still remember when I came here, it was my first time going out of my country, going out of my city. So I was very nervous and very scared coming into a new country. But the kind of people I met here, the kindness that I saw, and how they were ready to go to extents to make me feel at home, make me feel comfortable, and make me not miss home, has was great in the beginning for sure. But even after that, yes, of course, I mean, you're studying with the best minds who want to study this program. So it's, of course, it's like very competitive. Only 46 people are got selected from a huge application pool. So they are competitive people. They are very smart people with really great profiles. But more than facing competition from them, I learned from them for sure, from those 46 different perspectives, coming from 23 nationalities. So it was, for me, it has been a community where I learned so much instead of just racing through it. Everybody, I think, has different aspirations for sure, but it's never been like somebody's trying to pull the other person down to succeed. Everybody tries to push each other forward. We always, for example, have a group where everybody keeps on posting internships that they're applying to help other people also be aware of the opportunities, especially in COVID times when it became more difficult. So for me, it has, I've never faced that somebody's trying to bring me down.
That's great. That's great. I always like to hear that similar experience from others in various programs, because you're spending a year to 2 years of your life in this program dedicated to studying and networking and so forth. And so having other classmates who obviously have that same passion and want to see their classmates succeed and are genuinely invested in the entire program, it makes it an enjoyable experience, and one that you can look back on in the future and think that that was well worth it. And so what kind of value are you already experiencing as a master's student? Is there anything that just stands out right now to you that you think, this would not have been possible without having taken this route in my life?
For me, I mean, we always hear, right, that a master's degree is more about networking than what you study. And I think that has been very, very right in terms of the master's degree that I'm pursuing, because most of the people also coming to strategy or a master's in management, they are planning to go into a people's business, let's say, for example, consulting or so on. So I think in the industry that the people want to go to is a people's industry, is based on networking, and the master's degree definitely helps in networking, not just making networks, but also learning how to make those networks, how to kind of adjust into an international environment, how to adjust with people from so many diverse backgrounds. So for me, it has been like more about the overall development, not just theoretical development. But yeah, definitely the people, but also the soft skills that you learn for your career, I think is definitely what you learn in a master's degree and not in your bachelor's degree when you're just fresh out of school and don't have a clue about your life. So yeah.
I totally agree with Brenda on this. So for me, I think it was the first time I came out of my house. During my bachelor's also, I was just at home. So I did not learn a lot of public skills there, I would say. But when I came here, like living alone, I think that's one of the major things that you learn, apart from that time management, stress management, cooking along with all of that, making sure you eat at the right time, and making sure you talk with other people who are not very similar to you. So you really really come out of your comfort zone whenever you're pursuing a master's abroad. And I think that is one thing that you learn, and which is it's gonna stay with you your entire life. The things you learn here, they won't go anywhere. So I think it's the life skills that you learn once you are out of your comfort zone of your own country.
Yeah, absolutely. I have done, I'm in the United States, and I've done all of my education in the United States, and obviously I've been put out of my comfort zone in a different, capacity as compared to someone who has kind of uplifted themselves out of everything that they know and the environment that they grew up in and are comfortable in, and then to be transplanted into a completely different community in a completely different country. I think that international students for sure are incredible at just being able to kind of change to their environment, and it really does shape some absolutely incredible individuals. And so, sticking to that, you just mentioned kind of the value that you see currently as a master's student. So once you graduate and you go off into your career, what do you hope the master's program will do for you?
So it's for me, it's quite related to what I said that I've learned currently. Those I think the soft skills that I've learned in terms of I mean not just public speaking, but rather trying to learn about people, trying to listen, trying to understand that different cultures react differently to certain norms and topics, and they have different ways of understanding things is, I think, it's a very important skill that will help me throughout my career if I'm trying to build an international career. So in the world that we live in today, I think we work for international firms, we connect with people from all over the world, and I think this skill is a very important skill to have that awareness in your mind, basically, that okay, somebody, what I'm saying could have a different understanding for somebody else, and then making the decisions accordingly, I think is very important for anybody who wants to succeed in the globalized world that we live in today. So that I can definitely see in my future.
For me, it's, I think, the time management that I've learned in my master's degree. So managing 10 different things, 10 different deadlines, and managing and like delivering the same quality of work, and doing the best you can, and making sure you succeed at them. I think that's one thing that I'll take with me throughout. And apart from everything that is related to statistics and data science that I'm learning here, it's the time management that I am really, really grateful about. So that's the main thing for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, myself included, you go through your bachelor's degree and you think to yourself, you're like, I have this time management skill down. And then you go into your graduate program and then you realize you're like, I know nothing about time management. You're like, you realize, because you have so many things coming at you. And graduate programs are a lot more fast paced, a lot more rigorous, a lot more in depth. And so you have a lot more studying and more assignments and more collaboration that you have to do. And so it's not, it's pretty early on into a grad program that you realize, I got to really buckle down and figure out, how to manage my time. For me, I have I have twin boys, and then I have a daughter. And my twins turn 4 in March, and my daughter turns 2 in April. And my wife and I have been married for almost 8 years now. But being able to, maximize the time that I have, because I can't be awake 24 hours a day. Realistically, I can get up at about 5 in the morning, and I can stay up until about 10 or 11 in the evening. And it's everything in between that time that matters. And being able to make sure that in that, 15 hours of the day that I get my studies done, that I spend time with my wife, that I spend time with my kids, that, I make sure that I don't neglect anything that's important to me. And so you really do kind of fine tune those time management skills in a master's program. And that is definitely a skill that, will be beneficial for one's entire career. And so did either one of you go through recruiting? Have you, or are you going to go through recruiting with your universities?
Do you mean campus placements?
Yeah.
It's I mean, I've been applying to internships, but it's
Okay.
not really that you have campus placements.
Right.
You apply, you have a career advisor, and of course they help you, and the university also has a career center where they help you to apply. But
Awesome.
yeah, you don't have like really companies coming to the
Yeah.
university. Not
Awesome. So yeah, that kind of leads into it then. And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but could you kind of dive into that internship and recruiting process? I know some of the internship searching is primarily the student's responsibility. I know some programs have companies that come to the campus. However, COVID has kind of put a damper on anything that was traditional, and everybody just kind of flies by the seat of their pants at this point. But what does that internship and recruiting process look like for you?
So for us, it's basically, yes, as you said, the internships are kind of the student's responsibility. However, we have companies coming in to the university, not for active hiring, but for example, competitions and case studies and things like that, wherein you can get in touch with the company and take forward the recruiting process from there. So it's not that they're coming for interviews specifically. We also have career fairs. So we have basically we have finance career fair, consulting career fair. So different companies coming on from for those, and different departments from those companies. And we have, for our master's program, we have a specialized career coach who only deals with students from the sim. And the university also has a career center who are always there to help you if you need any help. And they, of course, they have networks and then like lots of resources. But for me, the internship search process began also through the network of my program, basically. And I contacted alumni from my program who are working already, and that's how I started my search. Also for recruiting, mostly when you're doing a consulting internship, you do it, and if you perform well, then you get a full-time offer, which is how for consulting the process usually looks like. But other industries, for example, I mean, if you want to work at startups, then yeah, you have a huge network of the university as well, and of the program specifically, which is really beneficial always.
For us, it's kind of same. So the universities do not really have companies coming to us, but before COVID, like you said, COVID just messed up everything. Before COVID, we used to have career fairs on campus where companies used to put up their stalls or something, and we could just talk to them, know about what their hiring process was like. But now it's mostly online, and we did have a virtual career fair, so all the companies used to just have online kind of rooms where we could just go and talk to them. Apart from that, we are the career services at Imperial are, I think, pretty great. You can get your CV screened. You have tons of seminars about how to clear those psychometric tests and all the technical rounds and everything. Because like, I think getting even an internship here in the UK is pretty difficult. You have to clear tons of rounds. I'm pretty new to it. I've just started applying, but most of the search is either through the jobs live kind of a portal that Imperial has, or it is through LinkedIn. You can, as I think Rinda said, you can reach out to your seniors, and they can just help you out a bit. And I think here in the UK it's a bit different as well, with Brexit and everything going on. So I mean, it'll depend, like what it's like for international students here in a few more months, I think. But yeah, it's definitely, the university helps you as much as they can. In my for my program, we have a special like we do get job offers which are particularly for our course. Apart from that, definitely they help as much as they can. For our dissertation topics, we have some of them which can be like with companies, so it basically becomes like a capstone project. So maybe, like, if you do well there, you could even get a job offer. That's how it goes. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Awesome. I saw a question come in the live chat, and I apologize if I get your name wrong. But Aman had asked if you could explain how a candidate should prepare for the GMAT, or that could even be swayed into the GRE. I think a lot of people, they hear GMAT, GRE, and instantly think standardized exam. It's going to be the hardest thing in the world. A lot of the test taking of the GMAT and GRE is developing an effective strategy for while sitting in the exam and taking it. And so, could you ladies, kind of explain, what did you do to prepare for the GMAT or the GRE?
So I took the GMAT, and I was working when I started preparing for the GMAT. I was working full time, so I had to do it with my job, because I mean, I didn't want to just quit my job and have a bad GMAT score and do nothing. So I decided to do it alongside my job. So it was a bit more intense, I would say, for me. But how I did it was, I decided that in the morning I'm going to start waking up at 6 or 7, and then this is the 2 hours that I dedicate to GMAT, and then in the evening this 1 hour I dedicate to GMAT, and on the weekends this much time. So you have to decide that you have to consider it like a part-time job, and you have the time that you decide for it. I think you have to, if you really stick to that time, it's going to be comparatively easier, I would say, to prepare, rather than having basically extending it for 1 year because you were not dedicated enough to have like those spare 1 hours or 2 hours in the day for GMAT. And because for GMAT, I think practice is the key. How many questions you practice, how many mock tests you take is really helpful in terms of the final score. For me, it was a bit different because I have really high exam anxiety. So whenever I sit in an exam, I just go blank, and I cannot manage my time during the exam. So for me, the mock tests that I took, I was scoring really, really high scores. But the first attempt that I took was nowhere near those scores, and nobody was expecting that. So I mean, because I just couldn't finish the exam even. So I think time management is really, really crucial, and just take enough time to have 2 attempts at least, because the first attempt you will be nervous. It's a very I'd say, a very pressurous situation when you go into when you start the screen and you start the exam, so you don't know what's happening and how to deal with it. So I would say take enough time to have at least 2 attempts, even though you don't take the second one, just have time for it just in case. So yeah, that would be my advice.
I don't know how relevant it is, but I took the GRE. I did not take the GMAT because it was not needed for my course. Uh, as I think I totally agree with Brinda. Even I have like super high exam anxiety, and at every mock test I took, I was like fine because I was doing it at home. And but when I was in that exam center, so it was totally different. I blanked out a bit. And I think for us it was mostly the verbal reasoning kind of the section which was difficult, because there's so much to read and you just need to be focused all the time, because even if you miss one thing, you'll have to reread the entire passage and whatever it is. So I think practice is what that matters. Like it's just taking as many exams as you can before you actually go there, so that you're just comfortable with the the way the exam has to come. So I think familiarizing yourself with it a bit, actually familiarizing yourself a lot with it, would be really beneficial.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of people go into these standardized exams, whether it be the GMAT, the GRE, the MCAT, the LSAT, the DAT, OAT, whatever it may be, with the preconceived notion that they have got to know every little detail about every aspect of the material. And for my friends that they come to me and they ask, what's the best way to prepare for one of these standardized exams? And I tell them to take these mock exams, get a feel for how the exam is designed, because I don't know about you ladies, but I cannot remember every detail of a discipline. I cannot remember every statistical formula. I cannot remember every, you just cannot remember everything. And so it's more so about developing the time management skills to be able to get through the exam, but also to be able to, think through the question that you're reading, and really just to make sure that you're comfortable and can effectively think and make your selections. And so, in terms of that question, to individuals who are looking at sitting for the GMAT or GRE, I would definitely say, do not put so much pressure on yourself to think that you have to memorize every little detail of a subject, because it's just these subjects are so in-depth and vast that it is very difficult to memorize everything. And so that's kind of my take on it. And reading through here, here's a question. I had already asked you kind of, you had your programs that you were looking at. And then I had asked you, how did you come to the conclusion of your program? This individual is curious of, how do you compile the list of universities that, instead of accept, because it is very difficult when you're applying to competitive admissions programs to know, this program is going to accept me. So kind of a twist on it is, how do you compile the list of universities that you're going to apply to?
This is really okay. You can go ahead, Rim. That's fine.
No.
All right. So when I was applying, I divided my expectations into three tiers of universities that I would apply to. One would be my dream college, so I'd apply there no matter what and hope I'd get accepted. Then 2 or 3 in, like, say, good universities that I'll be happy if I land up there, but I won't be like, I'll be happy if I land up there, basically.
Right.
And then two of them should be like your safeguard universities, like you are sure that you want to go for a master's at this moment and you just know that you would get there. I think at the back of your mind, everybody knows that the kind of universities they can apply to and they would get an acceptance from, because I think everybody has that kind of an intuition, unless you are like a super underconfident person and you need somebody to push you. I think you can get help like that. So you can get your profiles verified and people can actually tell you that, yeah, this is some university that definitely would accept you. That was the case with me. So I did not know what level of universities I could apply to. But once I took that kind of help from my friends, from my peers who were already there, or alumni or anything, then you get an idea that, okay, yeah, these are the kind of universities that should definitely accept me. And I think that's the way to go about it. Like divide it into three expectations. One would be your dream tier, one would be two or three would be like, yeah, good universities that you might or might not get into, and two or three should be like your safeguard universities. That was what I did.
Yeah, so I followed a similar approach where basically I had some backup universities and some university, like I ranked the universities that I wanted to go to. And well, how to compile the list would be, in my personal advice, would be to kind of weigh your profile, how much work experience you have, how relevant it is to the degree that you want to pursue, um, and what is, if you've not taken the GMAT, for example, what is the score you're expecting based on the mocks, and yeah, what is your GPA, because Western universities also look a lot at the GPA for high school and bachelor's. So based on, I think, these 5 criterias, I would kind of weigh your own profile, try to be as practical as you can, not overestimate or underestimate your profile, and then most of the colleges and the courses that you're applying to will have a certain average that they provide on their websites, where they say this is the average GMAT we have, this is the average work experience our students have, and this is the average age, and so on. So based on those criterias, I would say, and your profile, I would say rank the colleges that you want to go to. For me, yes, the ranking first of all started with the Financial Times ranking and what is the number one college. And yeah, I was lucky enough to get into like exactly where I wanted to be, and so I did not have to apply to a lot of colleges. So yeah, but that's how I would have done it if I didn't get accepted.
Yeah, applying to grad school can be really expensive, and so whenever you make your list, I've seen people who have lists of 20 plus universities, and that's great if the funds permit. But when you're looking at typically a minimum of $100 application fee for these programs, on top of your essays that you want to write each one to be unique for that program and that university, and so it's just a big time commitment and financial commitment to even apply. And so let me see here. I think we got time for another question or two. My parents didn't go to college. My brother's an ER physician, and so we both had the understanding of college, but we didn't, when we were going through it, we didn't have anybody that to get advice from when applying. And there may be a lot of other students in a similar situation that may not have a lot of advice, people to give insight to whenever they're applying to programs. And so what advice would you give somebody who is applying, this year, next year, in the future? What's something that you wish you had known whenever you were applying to your grad programs?
For me, I would say, I mean, I decided to get some work experience before applying to the master's program that I want to, which is basically because I wanted to be very sure of what I do, because it's a big financial commitment for sure. And I just didn't want to just go into a master's program and realize this is not for me. So I would say really know what you want to do, because if you come here and then you realize that no, this is not my cup of tea, then you're basically suffering from a huge financial loss, because most, I think, in India, a lot of people also take student loans to go for their post graduation. I Or you get a scholarship, for example. But yeah, basically be sure of what you want to do, is what I would say. And do not rush into it. You take your time and you decide on your own pace. Don't be peer pressured into when you want to do it. I decided to do my masters at 20. I was 24, I think, when I started, and I mean it's already a bit later in terms that I had some classmates that were even 20, 21. So don't be pressured by what others are doing. Just make your own decisions at your own pace and be sure of them.
Yeah, so when you're applying for a master's, you, as Rinda said again, it's you really need to be sure of what you want to do, because apart from the financial burden, the courses are usually so intense, and so it's like you have to cover so much in so little time. And if you're not really happy with your course, you would just break under pressure. I've seen people do that in my course, so they're just not able to cope up with everything that's happening, or not being able to follow. And like being among the best minds in the world, probably you even face that pressure, that you're not good enough. Like the people in your class, you'll see some people, they're just managing through, and they're like, yeah, it's not a big deal. But for some, they're really struggling. So apart from the financial debt that you get, your mental health starts to get affected, and that I think that's not really good. So whenever you want to apply, make sure you really want to do the course. Don't just go by the name. Don't see the degree's name and go for it. Make sure you read the course description really well, and make sure that it's everything you want to do. See how the courseworks are, see how the exams are. And apart from that, I think you should also consider the living situation of the place that you will be in. So see what kind of rents you are supposed to expect, or anything and everything that happens in a new place. So talk to people who are already there, probably from the same environment, so they can guide you better. So, and apart from that, I think applying with managing that like timeline of by when you need to apply, all the documents that you need to keep ready by the time you want to apply. And I think that's the main advice that I would get: managing all your timelines and just being sure of the thing that you want to go for.
I just want to add a little something, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think I kind of would also say consider apart from the course that you're going to study, consider also the location that you're going to be in, because that will probably be where you would want to start your career and where it would be more beneficial to start your career. For example, if you study in Germany or in Switzerland, it might not be so valuable in the UK or the US as a job market than it would be in Switzerland and Germany. So consider the location very well before you go to the location. Also understand that if you are going abroad, you will be an outsider and you will have it more difficult than people who are from the country. And yes, of course, in the application process, uh, I would say, showcase yourself rather than just copying blindly from a sample cover letters or SOPs. Showcase what you really are. Don't be afraid to show that this is the person I am.
Awesome. Awesome. Real quick, kind of just, in a minute or less, I'm just curious. Do you feel that your master's degree has been worth it?
Yes, every penny, worth every penny. I mean, I was lucky enough to get a tuition fee scholarship for when I came here to study. So I cannot say that I paid a lot for it, but definitely worth it. A master's degree teaches you, as we've discussed, so many life skills that will help you throughout your life and builds such networks for you that you will keep. For me personally, I will keep them for my life. Friends, uh, uh, personal networks, professional networks, both of them. And I really think that all the experience that I've had in this past months has been absolutely worth it.
Uh, I agree. So I would not deny I do have my bad days with this COVID and everything happening. So if you ask me this question on a different day, I'd probably say no. Actually, yeah. So because I think a lot of our experience is biased because of COVID. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm learning a lot. I'm becoming a new, better version of myself, be it in terms of learning things about my subject or like hoarding general life skills or even developing a lot of soft skills, learning how to talk with other people of different cultures, understanding their perspective on life and everything. So you definitely learn a lot. You experience I think it's the best life that you will have. Minus COVID, but yeah, it's definitely the best experience that you'll have. So one should, I think, be able to have a good master's thing, and I think it's a great investment to have. You're just investing in yourself and your future, so it's a good investment there.
Awesome. Well, Arushi, Verinda, we've kind of come up on our time here. I'm not sure what time it is where you ladies are at. I'm pretty fortunate. It's only 2 p.m. in the afternoon for me. So, I still have a lot of day left. But I want to thank you both for taking the time out of your day to come in and spend an hour with us and to really just kind of share your experiences in your individual programs. I know that it is immensely beneficial for prospective students to kind of get that insight into what they could expect in their future. And so, thank you again. It was phenomenal getting to know each one of you and really hearing from you. And for those watching, this is the last session for today, but we do have one more day of the Master Spotlight Series, and that's tomorrow. So make sure that you get registered for the sessions tomorrow. Again, registering gets you entered for the giveaways that are at the end of the sessions. And then attending those gives you the opportunity to ask questions and have your questions answered that you may not have been able to have answered otherwise. And so with that being said, we'll go ahead and we'll end it right here. And we'll pick this Master Spotlight Series up tomorrow morning. Ladies, you have yourselves a good evening, afternoon, morning, whatever time it may be where you're at. So I will talk to you all later.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.